But we have confirmation from several different sources that this is indeed a Sith Lord. Smilo Ren, Chimere, the Stranger, whatever you want to call him, is actually a true Sith Lord. And also, it's got some implications that I think is going to be worse than Ki-Adi-Mundi's age. I'm just telling you guys right now that I think if I'm right, this is going to be much bigger and it's going to be way more controversial. But we'll get to that in a second. But first, let's jump on the computer and I'm going to show you guys an article by Entertainment Weekly. The first thing I want to do is share with you guys an article that just came out in Entertainment Weekly where Manny Jacinto was asked by the interviewer on his take on this character called Stranger. So what he says here is basically we want a character that was not just oppressive and powerful, but we wanted a character that when you see him, you feel disturbed by him almost. That's why a lot of the music and a lot of the effects, it's almost like horror. We really approached it in that type of sense. We wanted a character that isn't just a Darth Vader type of guy who overpowers the screen, but it's like when you see him, it's just like, oh, did I actually see that? It's the concept of the uncanny. It can be a stumble in a person's walk or a twitch in somebody's eye. It's very subtle, and it's just like this uncomfortableness that people experience, and that's what we wanted to hone in on for this Sith Lord. So there's one confirmation there that he confirms that it's a Sith Lord. But I also want to point to something else that's out of universe, and this is Leslye Headland's interview before the show even started with Dave Filoni. So I want to listen to this one clip here that starts at the 16-second mark.
So
what I was interested in examining were the Sith. The master-apprentice dynamic.
If the apprentice is craving the master's power, then at some point he must recruit his apprentice to overthrow the master.
Yes.
And that is the Acolyte.
right.
Okay, so now we have Leslye Headland in this interview with Filoni before the show even started. She's talking about wanting to delve into the Sith. She didn't say dark side force users or anything. She did say the Sith. And now we have Manny Jacinto's answer, calling himself a Sith Lord. And then we also have inside the episode itself. So I want to show that also here, what he says to Soul.
What are you?
I have no name. But a Jedi like you might call me Sith.
So this threw a lot of people off when this happened because of the way he says it. And I don't know if it was just because Leslye Headland wanted to just make it kind of weird instead of saying, hey, I'm a Sith. She wanted to put some kind of dialogue in there that wasn't so on the nose. I mean, I think this was kind of on the nose anyway. I mean, just saying Sith brings up a lot of problems that I'm not going to get into in this video, but it does bring up some issues. So what I want to talk about, though, is he confirms that he's a Sith, at least as far as the Jedi's perspective goes. It really doesn't matter at this point if he's a Sith from the Bane lineage, if he considers himself a Sith, or what he thinks the Jedi would call him. Now that Soul has heard that, from the point of view of the Jedi, that is confirmation that this is Sith, and he cannot get back to the Order in any way. So from their perspective, whether he's a true Sith or not, he kind of snitched himself out. And Soul kind of says this, like, why would you reveal yourself? So that's three different things that I think are really indicative of him actually being a Sith Lord. That to me is confirmation from three different ways, both out of universe with this article and Leslye Headland's interview, and also now in episode 5. Now, there's a couple other things I want to talk about too in there that's going to get kind of into the nerdy part of this, and that is his lightsaber form. When you see something that we're going to listen to later when Yord and Osha are talking, he's very all over the place. He doesn't follow anything as far as the way he fights, but this is also indicative of a lightsaber form called Juyo, and Juyo is very much a form that the Sith use when fighting with lightsabers. There's also, you can see he hasn't had the Sith eyes, but neither did Dooku. Palpatine was able to hide his, so the Sith eyes aren't in any way indicative of a Sith or not, because they've always been able to hide them. They don't always have them. That's kind of one of those things that lore-wise, it's kind of all over the place. but he's actively trying to kill his apprentice who betrayed him. That is very much a Sith trait as well. I know some people say that it could be like a Knights of Ren type of deal, and I don't know a lot about the Knights of Ren because I'm not a sequels fan. I know the Knights of Ren have been around for a long time in the unknown regions. They don't really have a hard origin, like nobody really knows their origin. There's more of like legends and stuff. So I know that was one of the things. Plus his mask kind of looks like a Knights of Ren mask. But the fact of him being obviously super powerful, he's able to kill all of these Jedi Knights and Masters and Padawans really without too much of a problem, other than Master Soul, just kind of makes me think that the Bane Sith, the lineage of Bane Sith are extremely powerful. The thing that throws me off here, and this could just be because the writing, they're taking a different lane here in this, but the Bane lineage, one, they're extremely powerful and extremely intelligent, but they're extremely secretive as well. So that's why him kind of snitches on himself throws me off as far as him being a Sith from the Bane lineage. As far as we know in canon, there's no other like Sith sects. In Legends, obviously, there's all kinds of we call them Dark Jedi or Dark Force users, Sith cults, and things like that. But right now, we don't know. I think he is a Sith. And here's what I think. So I want you guys to listen to this next part here with Yord and Osha.
He gets into your head and he stays there.
My mother could do that. Get inside a Jedi's head. I saw it once.
Okay, so when I first saw this, what I thought was they were trying to throw us off, because this is before Kymir's helmet was off. Smilo Ren, I thought that maybe this was trying to tell us that maybe it was the mother. Now, the whole time I kind of knew that it really was going to be Manny Jacinto's character, Kymir, but I thought that this might try to throw us off with that, or it kind of gave me doubts that maybe it was either Coral or, not Mother NSA. I don't think it would have been her just because of her hair, and I think she was a bit taller. But when I started thinking about this after the show was over, this makes me think that they might be doing something that, if I'm right, it's going to really upset a lot of people. I don't think it's a good idea if they do this. So there's a couple of things here. His Cortosis helmet and his Van braces. So for those of you guys who don't know what Cortosis is, it's a metal that we saw a lot in Legends. They brought it into canon in one of the Thrawn novels, Alliances, when Anakin is looking for Padme. He meets Thrawn, and they find this Cortosis factory that the Separatists had. They were arming B2 battle droids with this Cortosis metal, and Anakin was fighting one of the battle droids, and he hit it, and his lightsaber shorted out. And this is the first time we see it in canon, but it's been all over Legends. But Darth Tenebris owned a Cortosis mine on a planet called Baldemnik. This is in the Plagueis novel, and this is actually where Plagueis kills Tenebris and takes over, as the Master was actually at the mine itself on Baldemnik. If this is the case, so let hear me out on this. Tenebris in Legends, in the Plagueis novel, is a Bith, and you're going to see why I say this in a minute. Plagueis is a species called Immune. But in Disney canon, I don't think, and I tried searching, I don't think that either one of them have a species in canon. They have their names, right? Tenebris was brought up in one of the Build the Millennium Falcon magazine article. I think it was like issue 44, because I did another video on this. So that's the only mention of Tenebris, and it says in there that he created the ship that Darth Maul uses in The Phantom Menace. That's the only mention of him. They don't mention anything else, so I don't think in canon Tenebris is Plagueis' master, or it's not confirmed in canon. In canon, Plagueis is Palpatine's master, but they don't have him necessarily as Immune. They only have him as a photo of him, but it's just a dark cloak with a set of glowing eyes, and it's very dark. You can't see any face. So they don't have his species. And that's where my problem is with this thing that Yord and Osha are talking about. When she says, my mother could do that, somebody had to teach Kymir how to get in the Jedi's head. if her mother can do that, and she doesn't specify which one. And when we watched episode 3, I'd rather not watch that episode again. But if you think about episode 3, so somebody got in the head of Torben, but it didn't really show which one. Mother Anastasia is the one that kind of threatened him, like, hey, if you want him back, you guys back off or whatever. But she's also the one that said that she didn't want any violence, to put everything away, no weapons, don't attack them. So maybe it was actually Coral who was doing that at the time, and maybe she is the one who taught Chimera. And what that implies, and that's the thing that I'm kind of worried about for myself and the fandom in general, is if they take the legends of Plagueis or Tenebris and they swap them to one of these witches. So one of these witches, Coral or Mother Anastasia, could be Plagueis or Tenebris. And then what they're going to do is, Plagueis was the one to create life. It's going to be these twins. That's what he was referring to. And they're going to disregard all the Plagueis novel stuff, because in the Plagueis novel, it was pretty vague, but he created life, but it was more on a smaller level. He had some experiments in vials and vats around his lab, but then he would impregnate things through the Force, but it never really specified what they were. They weren't human and they weren't sentient. So he never created like a person. What they were trying to do was create a being that embodied the dark side of the Force. And the Force rejected that, but they didn't know it at the time. They didn't know for another 9 years when they find out about Anakin. Then they discussed it, and they realized that the Force did push back. But he did, what happened at the time too, was when he was trying to create this being, all his experiments died. They were all end up being diseased and everything. So that was in Legends, in the Plagueis novel. And because there's no recorded canon species for either Tenebris or Plagueis, I got the feeling that Plagueis will be Coral or Mother Anastasia. I think they're going to swap species. That's my concern. I know people are going to be fine with that. And there's nothing actually lore breaking because it's Legends. But the problem is they take stories like the Plagueis novel that fans, like across the board, I don't know anybody that says that the Plagueis novel isn't anything less than spectacular. Like, it's a brilliant, brilliant book. I think it's the best book in Star Wars. Legends are canon. It's hands down for me the best. I love the Heir of the Empire trilogy. I love the Bane trilogy. There's a lot of great books, but I think Plagueis hands down is better than, it's head and shoulders above everybody. And if they take that, whether it's Legends or not, a beloved story with the characters, and they start switching things around to fit this story, I just think that that's going to cause, it's going to be more than just changing Ki-Adi-Mundi's age, and even me, and I'll be honest with you, if they do that, I'm not going to like it at all. So I really, really hope they don't make Mother Anastasia Plagueis or Coral. So yeah, anyway, let me know what you guys think about that. Let me know if they do this, what you think, if you think that's going to be the case. Yeah, let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.